guys, so I have started the book. Already like it. Now this book, it is in 7 parts, which in the book it's phases. So we are on the first phase. We're going to be talking about the first phase. So the first phase, it's called The Maiden. Now we have a young woman named Tess. Tess comes from a very poor family and she has a whole bunch of siblings. One day, a prophet, basically, he tells the family that you guys are descended from this, noble family, and their name is the Dervilles. And they're so ecstatic because, again, they are a poor family and, they have all these kids. Never would think that something like this would happen to them. So the dad, he is like so happy, over the moon. Girl, this man ended up getting drunk, right? And so they have their, horse or whatever, their little wagon. And he's so drunk where Tess like, well, we gotta get home, So Tess drives, the horse back. Girl, why Tess get in an accident? A bad accident, and kill the horse. And they are devastated because, again, this is a poor family. I mean, they don't have no transportation, basically, right? So she is like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? And then they're like, well, you know what? We are descendants from this noble family. Tess, you 16, you the oldest. You need to go over there and see what's going on, basically. And she's at first, she's like, I really don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do this at all. But then Tess is a very sweet, gullible, soft, kind of go with the flow, and she just wants what's best for her family. And her thing is, all right, well, I'm gonna go over there. So she goes over, and in comes a young man named Alec. And Alec, that's supposed to be her cousin. And from the beginning, she just doesn't have a good feeling about him. He got a little slick side to him, you know what I mean? And she just like, again, she you could tell she's really, it's something to him that she hasn't picked up, but she knows that I'm not really feeling you, right? Comes home and the mom's like, what happened? And did you meet, the family and all that? And the mom's like, well, maybe he can marry you and da-da-da, and, have this different life and all this. Before she goes back to the house, he tells her, well, you can like basically stay here and have this kinship. It's basically just like an agreement to live there, see what it's about, and possibly like get married. Basically like courting her. Her mind hasn't been made up yet, but she's talking to her mom and she's telling her like, what he said. And she says, it's very good of him to think that if I was quite sure how I would be living there, I would go in a moment. He is such a mighty handsome man. That's her mom saying. And Tess says, I don't think so, said Tess coldly. And then her mom just pressured her like, you should go there and da-da-da-da. I don't know what to say, answered the girl restlessly. It is for you to decide. I killed the old horse and I suppose I ought to do something to get a new one. I don't quite like Mr. Derville. Again, she did not get a good vibe when, she had met him. Her thing is, I ain't killed our horse, so let me just go over there, right? Picks her up, she goes to the house. But her mom now, Joan, that's her name, is kind of like, ooh, I don't think I should have pursued her to go there. Because it looks like when she kind of met him, she didn't really say anything, but I think she had that same feeling that Tess had, but she didn't want to say anything. I was thinking that perhaps it would have been better if Tess had not gone. Ought you to have thought of that before? She says, I wouldn't have let her go till I've had found out whether the gentleman is really a good-hearted young man and interested in her as his kinswoman. Again, she told you that she wasn't feeling him. And girl, your thing is, well, maybe he can marry you and you can, have a different life. Your child is telling you that she don't feel comfortable. Your young 16-year-old child. So it's like now all of a sudden since she's gone, Now you want to say something? Girl, bye. And this part got me. What's her trump card? This is a dad talking. Her Derville blood, you mean? No, stupid. Her face as Tess mine. How they describe Tess, she's actually very pretty. And I think also and also with her being so young and innocent, that's like another, attractiveness, towards her. But yeah, so she goes to, the house to be with Alec, and Alec has not told his mother anything when it comes to this kinship or whatever. Also, the mama blind. And the mom, only thing she want people to do is whistle because she got some birds or something like that. Looks like that the mom, she don't feel Alec. I think she know Alec ain't no good, okay? But the fact that he hadn't told her anything about that, you got another person, another woman that's gonna be living in your house. Also too, Alec, he's real odd. Okay, listen to this. While Tess was in the window where the cages were arranged, giving her lessons as usual, she thought she heard a rustling behind the bed. The old lady was not present, and turning around, the girl had an impression that the toes of a pair of boots were visible below the fringe of the curtain. That's him. She searched the curtains every morning after that, but never found anybody within them. Alec had evidently thought better of his freak to terrify her by an ambush of that kind. He's just odd. Again, Alec is no good. That's just odd. The fact that you sneak into her room and just watch her. Yeah. So that's where I am right now. So far, I am really enjoying this. I am on chapter, okay, wait, let's see. I'm on chapter 5. Now y'all know I can't read Roman numerals. I can stop at, I think I can stop at 4. So what I usually do is with the People Classic Editions, a lot of times they do have the Roman numerals. So I just print out one, just put it in my book. And no shame in my game, but I cannot read Roman numerals. It looks like I don't care to learn them, okay? I know in this book they did say there's going to be some sexual assault. Sexual assault, they said. I believe there's some murder. Yeah, that's all I know so far. I have a feeling that he's probably going to do something to this child. So yeah, that's my guess right now. So you guys, I'm listening to obviously the book, and you remember when I was telling you guys about Alec and how I thought that he might be the one to hurt Tess? I was right. Yes, I was right. Poor thing, poor thing. But I have to say, when you read that section, Hardy didn't outwardly say that he sexually assaulted her. It's not a difficult part to read that section, as opposed to if it was a book written today, they would have been even more detailed. But oh yeah, I'm so sorry for the poor child. 16 years old, yeah, I mean a child. So I'm gonna stop right there because yeah, I just need to think about some stuff that has went on in this chapter and in this phase, which I told you guys there are parts of this book, 7 parts, but they call them phases. So I'm done with the first phase. I need to take a little break. Okay guys, so like I was telling you in the car, I was correct when it came to Alec, and he doesn't even take accountability of what he did. And she tells him, I want to go back home. I don't want to be here anymore. And also, he doesn't take accountability of what he did, but he knows what he did was wrong, and he doesn't try to argue with her and say, no, you got to stay here and da. No, he I'm gonna take you home. And so she gets home, and her mom instantly is like, what's going on? Is he gonna marry you? Oh, mother, my mother, cried the girl, turning passionately upon her parents as if her poor heart would break. How could I be accepted to now? I was a child when I left this house 4 months ago. Why didn't you tell me there was danger? Why didn't you warn me? Ladies know what to guard against because they read novels that tell them of the tricks, but I never had a chance of discovering in that way, and you did not help me. her mother was subdued. I thought if I spoke of his fond feelings and what they might lead to, you would dislike him and lose your chance. Wiping her eyes upon her apron. Well, we must make the best of it, I suppose. In my notes, I wrote, girl, what? Explanation points. Girl, again, girl, what? Are you kidding me? Like, he has literally assaulted this girl. And then here is the killer deal, y'all. Tess, with a curious, sturdy, yet courageous movement and with a still rising color, unfastened her flock and began suckling the child. She got pregnant. When the infant had taken its fill, the young mother set it upon her lap, and looking into the fair distance with a gloomy indifference that was almost dislike. Then all of a sudden she fell to violently kissing it some dozens of times, as if she could never leave off the child. Fond of that their child, though she mid pretend not to be, and saying she wishes the baby and her were in the churchyard, observing the women in the red petticoat. I do have to say, though, one thing with Tess, with her situation, we know that it's horrible. We know that she was assaulted. And of course, her being unmarried and they not knowing what happened, they just, they just think she a girl that was loose and got pregnant. But one thing about Tess, when she's in her village and stuff, she's not ashamed. Her thing is, this is my baby. And in the beginning, she was distanced when it came to the baby, but then she just was like, she saw that baby and the baby was in her arms. She like, this is my child. I love my child. But another shock and gloomy situation in her life, her baby is sickly. Her baby boy, he's sickly. I go live. And her thing is, Lord, my baby has not been baptized. Of course, with her situation, she didn't even think about that. You know what I mean? Because really, she couldn't. So she's praying and she's like, my baby has to get baptized, before he dies. So like the next day she goes to her, the priest or whatever. And she's been a part of that church. So in the midst of her just feeling so gloomy and heartbroken, she hasn't named her son. And she's like, well, I want my son to get baptized and I have to name him. And she baptizes her baby as sorrow. And I was looking up like the actual definition of sorrow. It says sorrow is a feeling of deep distress caused by loss, disappointment of other misfortunes suffered by oneself or others. And the fact that she honestly thinks that she is the one in the wrong. You know what I mean? There's no fault when it comes to Alec. And the people around her think it's her fault. And so, again, she's like, well, I still want to get my baby baptized if there's a way I can. So she goes to the, priest or whatever. And in the beginning, he's going to baptize her child when she tells, him, my baby's sickly and all of that. But then her daddy goes say, no, you can't baptize him. He get to the house, right? He gets to the house and the daddy's talking about, oh no, you can't baptize him because his circumstance. And Tess is like, can you, Tess is pleading. She says, and then the dad, and then he starts to agree with the, dad, but then Tess is like pleading, like, please help me. She says, just for once, sir, really, I'm not. Oh, sir, for pity's sake. She seized his hand as she spoke. He withdrew it and shaked his head. Then I don't like you out, and I'll never come to your church no more. Don't talk so rashly, Tess. Perhaps it will be just the same to him if you didn't. Well, it be just the same. Don't for God's sake speak as saint to sinner. The baby was carried in a small box under an ancient woman's shawl into the churchyard that night and buried by a lantern light as the cost of a shilling and a pint of beer to the sextons in the shabby corner where all unbaptized infants, notorious drunkens, suicides, and others. And again, in my notes, I just wrote poor Tess with a sad face because, Lord, she's that young. It's like she cannot catch a break. She gets sexually assaulted, then gets pregnant, then her baby gets ill, then her baby dies. And it's just like blow after blow after blow. So her thing is, I want to get away from here. I can't think, I can't function. And she wrote a letter to an old friend, like when she first got back to her house, but it had been months later when he when he wrote back, and he says, you know, there is an opening basically for a milkmaid, and she wanted to go like further, but her thing is, well, it's far enough, and also no one's gonna know my secret, you know, because no one knows me there. Then also her mom is kind of like, yeah, you need a fresh start. And the one thing I've noticed with the whole situation with the baby, like her mom or parents didn't like ostracize her, you know, because they knew what happened. And also her brothers and sisters, they, you know, it looks like they knew what happened, so she wasn't just ridiculed at her home, you know. But poor thing again. So she leaves, and that's the end of the second phase. And so we're going into the third phase, where she is going to be you know, living in a dairy house, and also she's going to be a milkmaid. So I am going to stop right there. Again, you guys, I am really enjoying this book. Also, the language is not hard to, you know, like navigate. Again, I do the immerse reading, so I like to have it in, you know, the audio. I'm back and I'll take my notes, you know, when I, you know, get home, because usually when I am listening to this book, I'm driving. And then I was thinking also too, that's like during the Gilded Age, right? Like the Victorian age. And I always go back to my show, The Gilded Age. But I was thinking about how, you know, like when women get like assaulted, or like, for example, in the third season of the Gilded Age, one of the characters, her husband cheats on her and wants a divorce, and the women are like not side eyeing him. They're looking at her like, oh, you can't be in society because you are about to get divorced. And you know, but her thing is, I didn't cheat on him. He wants a divorce. You know what I mean? But I think what gets me is the way of the society, especially with the women. They're like, you can't be in our groups. She can't go to no functions. She can't go to no charities. She's basically banished to a whole nother, you know, like place. She doesn't have like basically any friends. And I was just thinking how, you know, the fact that the women take so much of the brunt of everything, and it won't even be their fault. Like even in this case with Tess, that wasn't that child's fault. She didn't know what was going on. This is a child, you know what I mean? She's so young, so she didn't know. And it's kind of like, you know, you the one that went up there and got pregnant. I have to say, I like the way that Thomas Hardy is writing Tess. Like the women characters, I actually really do, you know, like the way he's writing. Because I always say with like men authors, I don't like the way they write women characters. But for this one, I like the way he's writing her. Tess is she's young, you know, she's a child. So she's very naive, gullible, sweet-natured. She just wants to help her family. She wants to be of help. And unfortunately, you know, her cousin took advantage of that. It has changed this child's life perspective forever. And the fact that she's like, if I leave, no one's gonna know my secret. I cannot tell my secret. I cannot identify that. And also too, her thing is, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids. I'm done. She's like, I just want to just be able to function basically. But right now her thing is, I will never get married. And it's because of this fool. Yeah, guys, I'm going to stop at the second phase. So the next video, we're going to read the third phase, which again, I'm really excited about, because we are going to see Tess in another element. She's, you know, has a fresh start. She go be your milkmaid. Guys, that's all for this episode 1 of Tess of the Dervilles. I can't wait to read even more and get more into this classic literature. And it's not a big book at all. That's another thing I love about this. Yeah, guys, that's all I have for you, and I'll be back with more Black books. Bye.